Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Humanity as Organism Thrives Convergence Room at Peace Week. And it's such an honor to be stewarding this convergence room with Dr. Tom Acklin. And the title of our convergence today is Piecing Life Together. Since it's Peace Week, we look at the word piecing life together because peace is not a noun, it's a verb. Tom, let everyone hear your voice and then we'll start the discussion.
Well, the first thing that's on my mind is me being a troublemaker, because it just crossed my mind that with your opening comments, as we talk about piecing life together, and we hear from the various symphony of voices, and then it crossed my mind, unpiecing. Given our earlier conversation before we began the recording, unpiecing our lives is also an incredibly powerful skill set. So I'm in Frederick, Maryland, East Coast, US. Welcome everybody, and I'm so looking forward to this conversation. Inspired by Danny, by the way. So when she speaks, pay special attention to the wisdom that's hiding in there. And I get, maybe that would be my wish for all of us, is that each of us respect, inspect, expect the other to be incredibly well spoken in a way that illustrates me. Right, so we're all under the illusion that we have sort of an ego and a personality and a whatnot. But when we come together in community and we hear each other speak, and we say, "Oh yeah, that's what I meant to say. Yeah, that's how I wanted to say it." Right, and each of us gets to kind of finish each other's unfinished thinkings, which never get finished.
Maybe that's the beauty about it, constant evolution, as we step into what you'd call the next version of ourselves. And this is a really great way to begin, because stepping into the next version of ourselves, we have someone from every generation, I think, because I checked on these generations, from the baby boomers right until Gen Alpha, although Gen Alpha will be here later. So it's great to have you all as part of the discussion. And Tom, I guess you can introduce Brian and Lisa, and I'll introduce the young women here because I've worked for them for so many years.
Well, I have an idea. So I have a request that everybody introduce themselves, and if it's okay, your age, and something you haven't thought about for a while. You know, you can speak your biographical current reality if you like, but speaking out loud the year we were born might give us a bit of a light bulb. And so whatever comes to mind is the thing that I would request everybody share. Brian or Lisa, which one of you was brave enough to step into that first? Yeah.
1949. I'm 74, but feeling a bit like 14 inside. So happy to be with you all. Thank you.
So I am 68 plus, and I feel more and more timeless. That's very exciting to, sometimes I even have to rethink, how old am I when somebody asks me? You know, it's like it's not any more important in some way. Sometimes it gets important because of this body that is more, you know, connected to the age. But it's excited to feel timeless, just like Brian just mentioned, sometimes I feel also very, very young and younger than even than I felt with 17 or 18. So that's exciting to observe. So I'm also happy to be here to join this circle and curious what will evolve.
Sonia just follows with me.
Sorry,
go.
so-
I'm Susan in Virginia, and I'm 61. I thought I would go now because we're kind of 78, 68, 61.
Oh, wonderful.
I don't think about, well, you said something we don't think about. I don't really think about individual people and generations as I do stereotypes of generations. Right? Like, I don't even know anymore what generation's being born right now. You know, I think Gen Xers was like the last big discussion. And then it sort of, to me, it all just turned into XYZ, who knows anymore. And I've heard a couple of people recently say, like, my age, oh, my generation doesn't do that. And I can't remember what it was about, but I just thought it was like saying, you know, I don't do nature. You know, it's like, well, you know, so I'm pretty much open to anything. I'm older and slower in my body, you know, but I don't feel old. I feel brand new almost like every day. So there, I'm complete.
Thank you. Thank you. Who are you going to tag? Let's do it. Let's do a tag. You're it. Who's next, Susan?
I think you muted, Susan. There we go.
I'm just looking at the list. I don't have the list. I'm just going to pick Ilana.
How are you all today?
Good, and you?
Good. I just came in a little late. If you share the question, I'm happy to respond.
Oh, sure thing, and welcome.
Thank you.
Well, tell you what, I'll demonstrate because
Thank you. That's
I should have
perfect.
probably demonstrated for everybody. I requested that we introduce ourselves by name, location, and date of birth. So I'm Tom Acklin. I'm here on the East Coast of the United States, Frederick, Maryland. I was born in 1965. 20 years ago, I felt and looked like I was 60, and I work in regenerative medicine as a recovering traditional neurologist. And today I think I look my age, and I'm looking forward to looking Danny's age soon.
Fantastic. Thank you. My name is Ilana Yona. I'm broadcasting from the floating homes, the houseboats in Sausalito, California. I was born on 01/06/1963. The epiphany in some communities, and a child of the 60s very much. I studied to be a doctor. I became an entrepreneurial media educator, and I'm working with Chief Phil Lane Jr., the hereditary chief of the indigenous folks on North and South America, and I'm really honored to just be here and listen. So don't mind me if I tune in and out because I'm sadly or happily working at the same time. Thank you for bringing us together.
And then you get to tag whoever's.
I don't know who has Haseena already gone. If not, I tagging Haseena.
They get tagged again. They
Did
speak
I
again.
pronounce your name right, my love?
Yes, you did. It's
Thank you.
Haseena. Thank you, Lana. So I am from Newcastle, South Africa, born in 1975. And as everyone was saying, I really don't feel what a 48-year-old is traditionally stereotyped to feel like. I mean, I can do more things now than I could in my 20s. I'm physically stronger, much physically stronger than I was in my 20s, and I love it. So I'm a healing breakthrough coach, and I am also, I wrote a book called The Truth Walker's Journey, The Unbecoming of Who You Are Not. And so truth, personal truth, is very close to my heart, as is personal sovereignty. And I will tag, let's tag one of the younger people here, Jodha.
Hi. Okay. My name is Jodha Raghuber. I'm from Newcastle, South Africa, and I'm Gen Alpha. So I was born on the 30th of April, 2010. I want to tag Danny.
Hello, everybody. My name is Danielle. I'm originally from Newcastle, so where Haseena and Shamima and Rashida are located. But because I'm a student, I'm located in Vanderbijl Park, Gauteng, South Africa. I was born in 2003. So I am a very, youngster. I'm not, I'm not as, as old as everybody says I look, which is maybe a good thing. I don't know. But I don't feel my age. I feel a lot older than what I am, maybe because my mind is, and I have references, if you want to go reference this, people in this call that can vouch that my mind is a little bit older than a normal 20-year-old. It's very much not the same. I always knew I was different. So I don't feel my age. Yeah.
Who do you want to tag, Danny?
Sorry, I forgot. I will tag Sonia.
Hi guys, I'm Sonia. I'm also from Newcastle and I am 17 years old. I was born in 2006. And something that I haven't thought about for a while that I've realized is that I've actually been feeling pretty confident lately. Like we're currently busy with our trial exams and everyone is so stressed and I'm here like, I got this. And I'm totally chilled out. I'll have parents come up to me and be like, how are trials going? And I'm like, it's going really well. And they're all like freaked out because their kids are at home stressing and I'm just calm and collected. So yeah, I've been feeling confident lately. And I am going to popcorn it to, I think, Ursula. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it correctly.
Yeah, Ursula, are you with us?
Yes, Ursula's back. Hi, sorry about that. Mother Nature called, so I couldn't do much about it, except respond. Yes, so I'm from Cornwall in England, and the land of King Arthur and the land of angels, England. And I was born in April in, where was it, 1952. So I've just turned 71. And yeah, what else? I think that's it, wasn't it?
Yes, that's perfect. Who do you want to tag?
You mean I just asked someone to speak?
Yep.
Shamima Patel.
I'm Shamima, also from Newcastle, South Africa, and I was born in 1982. And it's funny how the trick to getting older, like the older you get, the younger you feel proportionately. That's like successful aging.
Remember, you didn't tag anyone.
I am tagging Sandy. Sandy, go.
Sandy, are you with us? Okay, we can come back to Sandy. Tag someone else.
Let's see. Diana?
Thank you. I'm Diane. Excuse me. I'm Diana Clare, and I live in Ottawa, Canada, by the great, wonderful Ottawa River. I was born in 1950, and so I'm 73. I think of 1950 as a time when there was a real belief in the building of a new world post-World War II. And so that lineage of believing that we can create a better, peaceful world was also seeded back then. And so I bring that forward. And I would like to invite, I don't think Deborah Evans, you've gone yet?
No. Thank you. I'm Deborah Evans Rosales, and I just go by Debbie. And I was born in 1953, so I'm 70 years old. And I'm a retired nurse. So healing is a very important thing in my life. It has been since I was a little girl to help heal people. And so I thank you for having this today. And now I'm not sure, has Dr. Tom Acklin spoke yet?
You muted, Tom.
Dr. Tom Acklin is always speaking, and people get really tired of it. I'll pass it to Rashida. Thank you. And I love what you said about always healing. She's the healer. On my screen, you juxtaposed one Rashida's above Deborah. And so you're both healer nurses.
So I am Haseena and Shamima's mother. I was born in October 1946. So I seem to be the oldest person here. I am a retired nurse. I'm a life, business, and executive coach. I'm a health and wellness coach. I also practice several other healing modalities. I'm an artist. I'm also a yoga practitioner. And, you know, we all have to grow old. We don't have to get old. That is up to us.
Thank you. Mom, who do you want to tag?
Let me see. I don't see everyone. I think everyone on that I can see has spoken.
Okay, well, Adishesha hasn't.
Okay, yeah. It'll be good to hear from her.
Adishesha, are you with us? I'm not sure she is. Well, it seems.
Did Sandy say anything?
That's actually a he.
Pardon?
He said that he'll type in the chat.
Okay, thank you. I don't seem to be seeing that in the chat. Okay, thank you for sharing in the chat. And I will read it as soon as I have it in the chat. But it's great to be with everyone. And since it's Peace Week, and it's every year there's a different flavor to Peace Week, because we just grow and evolve into the peace that we've embodied, and into the meaning of peace in relation to our life. So I just like to call up, let me see, our panel. Yes, there we go. Thank you, Shamima. Wonderful. And maybe we can start with something. And this is such an interactive space, and it's great to hear what everyone has to say too. So if something feels like it calls to you, just raise your electronic hand, because we'd love everyone to be involved in the discussion. So just going to a simple question, and I think I'll ask this because when Annie Spade comes, who's a Montessori teacher, and she'll be joining us at 1 Eastern, so in about half an hour's time, she actually has her granddaughters videoed. They are Gen Alpha. So it will be interesting to hear how everybody describes what peace means to them. So why don't we just start popcorn style? What does peace mean to you, whether it's inner peace or collective peace?
I might just point out that like we are here a group and everyone has a different answer. So there is a question, what does peace mean for each of us, or what doesn't mean peace? And for some, it might be the absence of violence. And for the next one, it might be peace of mind, having no fears. So there's like peace might relate to outer circumstances, or it might relate to the inner peace. So, and I would say probably both are important. So, but there's a question, outer peace versus inner peace. Thank you.
Wonderful. So what would it, if you think of peace for you, because you're such a wise woman, I've known you since last year. What does it feel like for you when you hear that, the word peace?
So for me, it really starts within. I always say peace starts within, and then it starts at home, then the community, and from there, compassionate action in the world. So I feel I am personally not able to bring peace to the world if I'm full of non-peace. So my first thought is always, I am peaceful. What do I need to be in my peace? So it, I would say, requires some kind of awareness and inquiry to reflect. So core words for me are, listening to my body. Is my body in peace? Is my mind in peace? Is my are my feelings in peace? My spirit in peace? So it's like really like I have an inner council to check in on a regular basis. And this is how to start the day for myself. Yeah, cool. Mm-hmm.
That's a very sacred way of being, I think. And it's a looking in the mirror and a taking account, if you will, taking account of who I am, where I am. And it's practice to be able to do the sacred be with the person over there, and respect the terrain of our different challenges. And as you were saying, achieving peace, when you said bringing peace to the world, first I have to respect the discomfort in myself to know how to handle the chaos and get to a certain personal order of whatever that is, mind or body. And similarly, to be able to, with very honoring respect, understand that most of the world is chaotic, and most of the rest of the world looks at my world as if my world is chaotic, right? And there's this mutual understanding. And if I can if I can bring my if I can bring myself a sense of, yeah, that's the way it is, I can actually love the dynamics, then chaos can become the next order. So it's kind of a recovery of peace. There's always a recovery of the peace, and then the next respect of the layer of the what's next. And I think Brian's got his hand up. He's going to talk about the holographic nature of that. I spoke the 3D version. Speak the multi-dimensional version.
Yeah, thank you, Tom. So I around 1970, after really going through some very, very challenging times, I recognized that because I was a peace activist through the 60s, and it wasn't showing up. And during the Vietnam War, same year, I was dealing with the death of Dr. Martin Luther King and Robert Kennedy, and I felt like this was a world that I didn't belong to. And I had the good fortune of being guided by an unseen hand to meet a spiritual teacher from India. And there was the beginning of my meditation practice in 1970. So with that understanding, there was still Brian, the seeker of inner peace. And then I would hear things like, you're not your mind, you're not your body. And so when I say my mind, my body, the inquiry is, who is the my that's containing body, mind, the emotional body, all the perceptions? That's who I am. That awareness, that knowledge, that knowing, because our life is constantly changing. Our roles are constantly changing. So, but there's an awareness that has been observing our life from the very beginning. And to recognize that that's who I am. And when I connect there, I'm connecting with I'm connecting with peace, because there's no conflict in that. Now you can see from behind me, I'm an artist, and I created lots and lots of sculptures that were about subtracting what isn't the sculpture. And so, yes, we have work to do to remove false identifications, for process emotional traumas. And that's extremely helpful for coming into a state of being. And I'll just add this one last thing, because there was a reference to being in nature. If we observe nature, everything is being itself. But human beings have an inquiring mind that really complicates things. So if you're out, hug a tree, observe ants crawling on the ground, they're all just being and doing their life. So I wish you all the simplicity of peace within. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. I just want to, I did see Ilana, your hand was up, and now Deborah's, yours is. Jodha, or did you want to say something? Was your hand going up? Please, if it was, go for it. It wasn't?
I think Ilana and Miss Deborah can speak first.
Okay.
Thank you. Just know we saw your hand flicker, so we see you. Looking forward to hearing from you. When I was 11 and 17, I spent summers with my grandparents who moved to the Middle East. It was during Sadat's time in Egypt, and Egypt and Israel were friendly. And so I experienced peace in a place that is not known to be peaceful. And the reason I share this is because once you do actually live peace, you can't unlive it. You cannot forget it. And so although I agree, it can come from within, I equally agree it can come from outside. And so if we are not in externally peaceful environments, it's hard to communicate to others who have not been there, to even start an internal practice. And thankfully, after being 7 and walking through the old city, which can be externally one of the most chaotic places on earth, but spiritually one of the most unified. I didn't have language at 7 years old, but I was able to find that language later and know that peaceful practices are totally different than knowing a peace, and whatever way that comes, internally or externally. I just welcome me in each and every day and hope that everybody can look for it either externally or internally, so we can be one united, peaceful global family. Conch Shell?
I'll go, or I don't know who wants to go next, but after everyone who's already waiting, I'll go.
Okay, wonderful. I know Deborah, Jodha said, okay, Deborah, you go next, and then it's Jodha, and then we'll come to you, Susan. Yeah.
Okay, beautiful. A peace to me is an inner feeling.
Here's the definition of appeasement.
Oops, I'm sorry.
The action or process of appeasing.
It's an inner feeling. When I was young, 5, my heart stopped and I died. And since after I've come back, I have a feeling of vibration and energy happening. And when you're in the presence of people who are peaceful, I've noticed it affects my peace as well, my energy as well. It starts from within to me, and I choose for it to start within, primarily for it to go and help the world. Even when, if you feel peace when you're out in Mother Nature, sometimes when you're out there and you feel peaceful and speak to the plants and the animals, sometimes you can hear them or feel them talk to you and be one with you. And so to me, this is peace, the propagation of spirit to affect the globe and your family and your friends and yourself. That's how I feel. Choosing peace means that I need to tap into that energy.
Jodha, you're next.
Okay, so peace to me is a state of harmony, tranquility, and freedom from conflict. It's basically the absence of violence and tension. So peace allows people or individuals to coexist peacefully, and it fosters understanding and mutual respect. Like in your school or workplace, I think I'm the only one that goes to a proper school here. Yeah, like you need to respect everyone, and if you don't respect them, obviously there's going to be conflict, because respect is the base of peace.
Yeah, thank you. Susan, I know you wanted to say something.
Peace to me is an energy, like I'm doing this flat out on Earth mission where I do this intention. It's part of 99 days. So bring in light, radiate peace, radiate, it turns into peace, radiate peace, emit love into the earth, and then light, peace, love up to the cosmos. And peace is a force field. Peace is a vibration that is always present, but we have to maybe hold it and emit it. I think like Deborah was just saying. And if I'm not at peace, it's not because peace isn't here. It's, right? May peace be with you. May you be at that right frequency. You have to be in the present moment here now and accept, respect other people and situations, even if you don't like it, and hold the peace. And that's where I have a really difficult time when I go out. I do marketing sometimes, and when I go out, I see a lot of people are not tuned into peace, but they may not have that on their radio station yet. It says one woman said, in Holy City, you have to be at the right frequency. Like once you feel it, once you've tuned into it, then you certainly know when you're not tuned into it. It's sort of like fear, mode of love. A lot of people are in fear because they don't really know that mode of love is a choice. A lot of people don't have peace because they haven't got their radio station, doesn't even get that band yet. So I feel part of us as peacekeepers and pillars of light and holding this highest vision and radiating it out. If you can just, if one person can feel peace or feel love in your presence, or if we can maybe help them get that new radio, so they got that radio station, once they feel it, even if we can't hold it all the time, I'm not always in inner peace. I know when I'm not, but I know when I'm not, right? And then I feel like that's a ripple effect. I feel that's how we as an organism of humanity are evolving. We either all need to cooperate and get on these higher bandwidths, or we're not going to make it, right? And then in the chaos, right, all this chaos, well, how do the flood victims in Libya or the Morocco earthquake or Maui fire, how do you feel peace when your whole material world's been ripped apart? I don't know if I would feel peaceful. There might, you do see people though, that are in the midst of all this destruction and they're at peace with it. Like they somehow accepted it. They might be in shock. That is not a great way to find peace, but we can maybe hold peace for these people. And these people know a lot of these, probably very rural, peasant, close to the earth people know what peace is, and they know they're not having peace right now. But I believe all these people are they're coming out of the chaos and the deconstruction of the old energy patterns. This is part of what's happening, not pleasant, but then up comes out of that a new order, a new form of energy. And I believe a lot of these people going through these things that are still on this side are somehow leading the way for the rest of us, because we can hold peace and compassion for them. You can hold peace, compassion, and love for others. You have to hold it for yourself first. So, may peace be with you, right? May we all find it and help other people tap into it, because then it'll ripple out. Thank you. I'm complete.
That's so beautiful. And I love how you touched on the how, which I think is such a big piece of this, PEACE, piece of this. Danny and Sonia, we haven't heard from you, and I think people need to hear your voices because they're so powerful.
Sonia, do you want to go? Must I go?
Up to you.
Okay, I'll go. Okay, I'll go. I'll go. We can end off with a bang when you talk. Okay. When I was thinking of this question with regards to what peace means to me, I went back and I backtracked to the day that I chose peace, because I think it's a choice. I understand that there is maybe a calling towards it. I understand that you can feel it in your heart and your soul that, you know what, I feel like all this unnecessary things that are out of my control is disrupting my peace. And that is when I decided to protect my peace and to dive into this pool of what peace is to me and how can I implement it into my daily life. Because I think as a young person, and I think it's also a great tool, not only for myself, but Sonia and Jodha, who are going to one day go study, they are going to go into a workplace, they are going to go and live their lives. I'm not saying that it's not appropriate to all of us, but for me as a youngster going into a world where you can be so easily influenced by so many people, it's very difficult to allow people to come and disrupt your peace. And I'm sure we can all agree that once our peace is disrupted, it actually ruins our mood and the whole concept of our day. That's what it does for me. If somebody comes and disrupts my peace, I think my whole day is ruined. But then that comes in where you also need to give yourself tools in order to protect that peace. And for me, that is thinking of things that I can control and thinking of things that I cannot control. So with that said, I wrote down 2 things in what peace means to me. And it kind of links on to what Lisa said as well, where it starts with you in order for you to implement it. So what I said is to be able to be happy and content in my own presence, but to evolve for the betterment of me. To be able to be in a room full of people and not be intimidated or scared to be myself. To have full acceptance and acknowledgement to the past and present, knowing I cannot change anything, but I can become better. So with that said, that is how I found my inner peace as a young person of 20 years old. Because I think peace is important going forward in my own life and in my own experiences. It helps me navigate what I truly want for myself without relying on what other people may think of me, as well as what other people might want for me. So that is what peace means to me. Sonia, you can end off.
Wow, Danny, every time you talk, I learn something new or I'm touched in a way that I never thought I would be. So when I was given the topic, the first thing I thought about was silence, because people often associate the word peace with quiet. But as a teenager who lives in a world that's constantly busy, there's constantly things going on, I realized that peace doesn't necessarily mean silence. You can find peace in the noisiest places. And Jodha mentioned conflict. So I think peace is having no conflict or coming to terms with your conflict and sorting it out and battling it. And when I refer to conflict, I don't mean physical problems. For example, I might not get along with someone and our views might clash. That's not the only type of conflict. Right now, and I'm sure Danny, you'll agree, we often get into conflicts with our studies. Conflicts are things that you don't just disagree with them, but they kind of restrict you, or they put you in a position where you really have to think and say, oh my gosh, what is happening now? I have to make a decision. I have to choose between something. So peace is overcoming all of that and being able to see clearly. And it doesn't matter what your situation is, where you are. You could be in the middle of a party with loud music and still feel peaceful because your mind is clear. And another thought that I had while Danny was speaking, so in history, we're currently doing civil society protests, and people often associate civil disobedience with peaceful protesting. But my belief is that the idea behind the civil disobedience was to be nonviolent, but it was to disrupt the peace and the harmony that everyone was living in. So I don't believe that it's peaceful. It might be nonviolent, but it's disrupting that tranquility. It's giving you something to think about. So peace has a lot of definitions, and for me, it's being able to have a clear mind no matter what the situation is like. Thank you.
So thought-provoking, and from both of you, you know, just the way you see the world. And it's going to be very interesting to, with you three young people, Danny, Jodha, and Sonia, just to see how you perceive the how of bringing peace. I see, Ursula, your hand is raised.
Yes. So I'd like to add a little extra color to this opening up of what is peace. And certainly to my mind, almost immediately when I hear the word, I see this beautiful blue sky from my childhood, when it would create this feeling that my whole complex would absorb. So it made me realize, because I grew up in a forest, and it made me realize that peace is a living something in its own right. It doesn't depend on me, and I can't change it. But there is a state I can live in which is separate to that feeling. So what I realized was, when I look at a rose that grows, it is what it is, perfect. But humans, we weren't created perfect. We were created to go into a state of growth. Everything grows and dies on the planet. But what I realized in my last 30 years is, so some intelligence created the whole of the universe. And it said, grow or die. Whatever you grow on this planet, it will grow. We call them poisonous, we call them whatever you like. But it will grow, or else eventually it will die. So within that kind of system at play, it suddenly occurred to me that in the struggle to grow, to be what you're meant to be, whether you're an ant or a flower or a tree, there's an atmosphere that I call the soul of the planet, the breath that surrounds the planet, that to me is the breath of peace, that we can be absorbed by and absorb when we need it, when we live a life according to what is meant to be. So if you're meant to be calm in a situation and you're not, you're lacking in peace. If you're, you know, it's like whatever stage of life, all these 7 ages that Shakespeare talks about have different levels of growth possibility. So within the growth, you've got to push against something to get out of the past, to move into something new. And as soon as you do, it's like there's a settlement. And that's like the atmosphere that I get, the settlement when you are as you're meant to be in whatever circumstance. Because it puzzled me, why could someone really nasty, someone who could create an H-bomb, you know, and know that it's going to cause millions of people to die, and yet they go to sleep at night in peace. So there's something in them believes that they're doing what they're meant to do. So they've got the permission, and at the moment, we still have the permission to allow the opposite to peace to exist, to push against something new, but make mistakes in creating the new. you know, whether it's cloning or whatever, to make mistakes. But once we all feel it, that that's not right. And it doesn't give you a settlement. So that's where I've got to so far with it. And I do have a song, which friends of mine wrote the words to it, which really represents it to me really well. And with music, you probably recognize Finlandia. So maybe at some point, if you feel like you'd like to hear a song, let me know.
Oh, well, we may just do that. I just want to give the floor next. Thank you, Ursula. I just want to give the floor next to Brian and Lisa, because I know they've got to leave at 1, and I'd just like to hear what they have to say about the how of bringing peace. But Ursula, love what you said, that when you're supposed to be calm and you're not, then you see it's like, almost like the symptom of, oh, I'm lacking in peace. And maybe not lacking, just not aligning, really. Okay. Brian, Lisa, I'll let you weave into this one, because you do that so beautifully about the how and the what brings you peace, and maybe how do you see collective peace and us bringing that?
Thank you. Lisa, do you want to go first?
No, please continue.
Okay. If we tune into the state of the world, we see that there is enormous separation and conflict. And when we are feeling that, it's very hard to just say, I'm at peace with that. So my practice, and I think our practice as a couple, is the first thing that we give ourselves is compassion for our observing and feeling this great separation and fear that exists for most of humanity. And once we open and expand our heart to have compassion for how we're carrying that, our heart expands, we have space to offer that compassion to all those that we interact with. And so that is the practice. During the 99 Days of Peace, we were asked to create a mission. And in simplicity, my mission is to breathe in the pain that I observe in the world and transform it in my heart by breathing out love. And that's a practice that I do throughout the day. So thank you.
Yeah, Brian speaks out of my heart. To say it with my words, I think we all have a feeling, what does peace feel like? So what does peace mean is inviting often the mental state, but I heard from many of you, you have an essential experience what peace really feels like for you. And knowing that, it's like our inner compass, how to come back to that. And if I have, like Brian said, compassion for myself, that means the capacity to hold myself with loving kindness when I have a hard time and different emotions are there, or I'm suffering with the world. Compassion opens my heart so that I can hold others in my heart. And then we might use techniques like Brian just said, breathing in, because this breathing in is for me a beautiful tool, because we can only breathe in this moment. So if I feel a lot of emotions, and just remind myself, just breathe. It is as it is. Because one part of why we are not in peace is that the mind goes in resistance, says, no, I don't want that. I want something different. And so I'm clearly out of my peace. So if I am aware, can observe that and just say, come, just breathe, and be with what is. And then directing this breathing, like, in a way, it's like very simple, like the golden rule is based on it. In every culture, religion, we have that. Just breathing in the suffering and breathing out loving kindness and compassion. So the heart is a transformative organ. Something changes clearly within me, and I think we heard from many of you, the other will feel it too. Sometimes a baby stops to cry, or an animal who is in our presence suddenly calms down. So we emanate this peaceful energy, and we contribute in that way also to world peace. You know, although we might be just a tiny, tiny spark in that, but we don't add to the conflict or the war or the violence or anger. We contribute to the whole with our loving kindness and compassion. And I feel when this would be a basic tool, even in schools, helping children, that we adults are a model for younger generation that builds to how can be the intergenerational peace be stabilized. So I think whenever we realize this, we learn the schools of, even nonviolent communication, not projecting anymore to the other, and listen, listen to the other. You might suddenly identify, it has nothing to do with me. It's not, I don't have to take it personally. It's telling something about the other. So there are many skills I hope and wish that our world is learning that more and more, that we don't have to escalate conflicts into wars. So I remember in the 1980s, the Dalai Lama was already pointing out that war is obsolete, and how sad it is that we still have war in the world. And I feel as a world citizen, and I'm a naturopath, so I'm a healer, and I feel always naturally, no liver fights with the kidney or fights with the skin. Only if there's some disharmony, then disease might show up. So collectively, as the world is in so much non-peace, there is the invitation for us to build the bridges back to we are one organism called the earth, humankind, nature. We are all connected. So the answer got a little longer, so sorry. Thank you. I'm complete.
That was a beautiful exclamation point and illustration of humanity as organism thrives. Thank you so much. And I know both of you, unfortunately, you've been a wonderful, wonderful contribution, and which is why you're in high demand. And I know you're flipping over to another platform right now. So we'll say peaceful weekend. Thank you for your contribution here.
Peace in all directions. Thank you.
Mom, you had your hand raised. Okay, and I just want to quickly say, Annie, I see you here, and we're going to bring you to the panel just now.
So I just want to add to what Susan and Lisa shared. Susan talked about radiating peace, and Lisa talked about emanating peace. I feel when you embody peace, people in your presence immediately feel calm and peaceful, because it's who you are. It's not something that you can bring to yourself. It's something that you learn from experience. A few years ago, when I turned 70, my daughters invited a few friends over to celebrate my 70th birthday. And they were not all people who got along with each other. And surprisingly, in our home, they all got along. So it's who you are and what you bring to the world is really the embodiment of peace. And the acceptance of every person, whichever way they are, whoever they are, however their way of being in the world is, that leads to peace. Because it's not our business how other people are. Our business is how we accept them and how we are and who we are.
Rashida?
Yes.
Question for you. So then if you have if you are surrounded by people who don't kind of give you that feeling of peace, or you kind of pick up on their energy that it's not peaceful, you know, like how you kind of feel. I'm not saying you can feel it for somebody else, but you kind of know, like you said, now when you're in somebody else's presence, you immediately feel at peace. You feel like you can be yourself and no judgment will be passed over the table. So how do you kind of deal with somebody who's in your presence that does not feel like peace, or does not allow you for your peace to come through?
Should your peace be dependent on other people? That is a question.
No, I don't think it should be dependent on other people. I think it's your choice to have that peace within you. But what if somebody is trying to make that difficult for you to kind of access? Do you kind of understand? Let's say you're in a group of people, and they are not at peace with themselves, and you pick up on those vibrations, and you pick up on that energy. What would be your advice on how to deal with that situation?
Well, I don't let other people's way of being affect who I am and how I feel. Shamima always says, whenever I say something to her and I pick up on someone's energy and I say, you know, I am suddenly not feeling good. And that's when I'm sitting at home, not even mixing with people. And she says, Mom, you need to surround yourself with some white light. And that is something that I do. And you know, Danny, it works.
Okay. I can agree with you that it works. You know, I'm sitting here thinking of who would be white light type of people in my life. And, you know, and I can already, okay, maybe we can call them the opposite is dark light. I don't, you know, I don't really know what would the opposite be. But if I take myself in situations with dark light people, in comparison to white light people, you know, I don't feel negative anymore. I don't feel drained. My energy doesn't feel drained. You know, I don't feel tired. You know, it definitely has an effect. But thank you for your response. I definitely resonate with what you have to say. I do.
Good.
And on that question, may I just come in with one little how that's worked for me? And it comes from the platform internally of understanding humanity. That feeling you're looking at another life. It's got a soul, it's got a spirit, has got an aura, has got a life on this planet, a gift to be here, a gift to serve the Great Mother. You know, but when you meet that something that isn't clean or that is out of sorts and you feel it, the thing I found is to identify that feeling in yourself, because you're not lying to yourself, because that's what you feel. But then don't identify with it. So in other words, even with the person that you meet, they may be radiating a horrible feeling that day, but behind that, there's someone else. Behind that, there is that soul in turmoil or difficulty or just not understanding what it means to be human. So you see past that because you don't identify with that feeling as your own. You don't take it in. You say, okay, that's it. I'm feeling this, that, or the other. It's nothing to do with me. And I'm going to try and sit and see if I can feel the person behind the eyes, the person behind the action. So you can forgive the behavior. You see, that's what I'm getting at. Because after all, there is someone else living in there. And sometimes you don't know why and what sort of journey a person's been on in their life that has caused them to radiate these awful, signals and even smells and all sorts of things. You just don't know. And it's not for us to judge, as we all know. So, feeling that, keeping that feeling of humanity, and you never know how they could be transformed, maybe even the next 10 minutes. Some great wisdom will come into them, or some bolt of something, and suddenly they're different. Just a bit like when you use ultraviolet light, cleanses things up in seconds.
Yeah. So Ursula, would you say that everybody's on their own journey? We are in the same, time frame, but we are kind of on our own journey. And it's you will meet up with the people who you are meant to meet up while you are on your journey. Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, because if you listen to your inner voice that says, try this or try that, and don't get it seems weird or odd. You take Einstein, who got the most extraordinary permission in terms of human possibility, turned all wrong. But anyway, he got that permission. He used to imagine himself, sitting on a starlight beam, traveling around the world. And you'd say, what a weird thing to do. But he didn't get put off by other people because that was his love, mathematics and chemistry, and he pursued it. So each one of us have got our own fingerprint, like a snow crystal. It's mind-boggling that every single human being has got different fingerprint, and that must tell you something, that you were created uniquely. Okay, we've got the planet's soul, a dollop of her soul in us. Otherwise, how could we live on a planet without a dollop of her nature? We couldn't. We need an interpreter for our spirit, and that's the soul, because the spirit comes from way, way, way where everything originated, but it needs an interpreter, and that's your soul, a bit of the planet. But your mission is not my mission, and it might be a minuscule difference in how you produce a song or how you paint a painting, but it's your way. So don't let anyone else tell you how you're supposed to do something. Go with it, just be free, because you might create something that's never been here before. And it's happened, with music, it's Beethoven, with artists, it's Leonardo. It's just amazing how that something can be turned into just something a little bit new that's never been here before.
Yeah. Thank you, Ursula. That was very inspirational. Thank you. That was lovely.
I'd just like to, Susan, I see your hand up, and I want to honor whatever it is you want to share. I know that we don't have that much time, but if you can share it quickly, and then we'll go on to hearing Annie's voice.
Yes, I'll share quickly. I wanted to respond to the young lady. What was the young lady's name just speaking?
Danielle.
Yeah, Danielle. We can't always be around people if there's work or situations that we are choosing to be around. But what I have found, and even just recently, I'm on a 10-day time myself out. I'm self-employed. I needed to get out. I'm timing myself out. Okay. I had to end a relationship with someone who, light worker, friend, thought, we all have our own paths, but I believe all of us here are trying to get to peace and unity as an organism. So we might be on the same mission, different paths, but I had to break it off with a person because they were harboring a lot of anger, resentment, and where they saw things in the world they did not like, they were actually sending out negativity, which I never tried to do. And when I called them on it, oh, they really turned on me. Exit stage left. I got to get out. Sources like, you got to get out. You are not going to be able to keep walking your path if you're walking alongside this person. Let them go process what they have to. And I know that's not a solution for everything, but sometimes I have to draw the line when I see people consciously choosing to emanate hate, fear, anger to make the world a more peaceful place, and I have to get out. That's all I had to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. Annie, we haven't heard your voice yet. And if you can, as you can see, I know that you were in another meeting and just discussing what peace is and what peace means. And as a Montessori teacher of 4 decades, well, maybe you'd like to start and just see where it takes you, and then you can share what you want. We all started with our name, our age, and the year that we were born in. Yeah, if you'd like to share.
Okay, great. Well, I'm Annie Spade here in Austin, Texas, and I just turned 67. I'm a grandmother, and I've been working with 2 to 6-year-olds for 41 years in Montessori. So, I heard Rashida right at the beginning talking about accepting other people and being centered in oneself. And I'm here to say that as young children, that was our way of being. And it was absolutely gorgeous this morning. I take, one of these online messages. The Marginalian comes in on Sunday morning here in the States, and it opens up today with this. I just want to share. It is an ongoing mystery. What makes you and your childhood self the same person? Across a lifetime of physiological and psychological change, some center holds. Eudora Welty called it the continuous thread of revelation. Walt Whitman saw it as something independent, lifted out from all else, calm, like the stars, shining eternal. She goes on to speak of it being one's soul. And truly, these young ones come in with their soul just shining and showing to us. But, Maria Montessori was one who was willing to sit at their feet and learn how best to nurture that forward. And so I've just been so blessed to have stumbled across her in a bookstore when I was 19 years old and searching for how better to support young children in their education, that I stumbled across Montessori. And I've just ended my daily classroom time, if you will, in the children's house, as we like to call it. But we're making a little film, and absolutely the children's essential peacefulness is central to what we are hoping to depict through this film. So I thought I would show you a little 1-minute clip. Part of it's not even color corrected yet. And before I show that to you, I want to just for those of you who maybe haven't seen a Montessori room, or Montessori has many interpretations, let's say, and let's see. Oh, I need to do a screen share first. So I'll just describe it to you, sorry, rather than take the time to find that. So if you walk into a well-ordered Montessori room, you see everything out on shelves, and the materials are made of natural materials, basketry, wood, in natural colors. It's not made to overstimulate the children's senses, but everything is, what color is used to coordinate the pieces so that everything has a harmony and order to it. And the activities are set on the shelf so that the child can take the activity and go sit, and after an introduction by the guide, with the guide, the child will know how to use that material and indeed how to clean it up and put it away. So the child's really exercising their agency. And they're doing this within a community, a mixed age community. I've been working with 2 to 6-year-olds in the same room for all these years. And so the way that the children work with one another in community is also very supportive to that kind of harmony in one's being, because we are relational beings, and learning how to be in community with one another is one of our first learnings, right? So what emerges out of that, and I'll just also call in that in order for the child to choose in this kind of environment and work with something for 5 minutes, for 20 minutes, for an hour, whatever the child takes with the material, then they restore it to the shelf before the next person can choose it. So you just got this beautiful dance or flow that goes on in the Montessori room. Maria Montessori didn't like the adult to be called the teacher. She said, we're really a guide. And the child has the inner teacher. It is the inner teacher that is key. What is drawing a child to choose painting every day? Well, the next child just wants to cut with the scissors, or use the hole puncher, or scrub the table, or do some writing, or whatever it is. It's that inner teacher. And when we honor that, there's a harmony between the soul, between the inner child and what's driving that child to be the unique person that they came here to be, and their activity in the environment. And so it sets up a really positive feedback loop. Well, listening to some of the conversation here as I came in, how many of us had that growing up? We didn't, we were traumatized. We got shut down, we got, discouraged and all of that. So I was really blessed through this to also interview my 2 younger granddaughters. All 5 of my granddaughters got to be with us for 3 to 4 years in the Children's House. And the youngest one just graduated as a 6-year-old. So she's gone on to another school. And I'm going to share with you their comments. I'm going to fly through here just another 3 minutes, Haseena, so you can wrap up. But I wanted to see if I could share this little snip out of this film that we're making. Let's see, let me get it set here. Let's see, I didn't choose anything, did I? Stop, hang on. Hang on.
Kind of beauty and magic that arose out of young children when Maria began to be very faithful to them and serve them in these ways as both scientist and mystic. And there's a beautiful account in her work, The Secret of Childhood, where she had been told by the women that she was instructing and working with that these children had become like angels. And she says in her book that she chastised them for speaking of the children as, you know, having become angels. And yet she said when she visited, she saw how peaceful and calm and focused the children had become. And she said she literally put her hand over her heart and just stopped in the room and asked the question, "Who are you?" And she says perhaps these are the children that Jesus was referring to when he said we must change and become like them. So what I hope to show you today during this visit is something of what has emerged here over the 30 years that Glenda and I have worked together in this children's house, because I truly believe that there is still that magic in children that if we give them the proper support, will be able to arise for them and for all of us, because it's truly an inspiration to us and to the inner child in each of us to rediscover that contemplative nature that young children have and that wish to participate and contribute in life that young children are born with. They just need our help.
So when I spoke to my granddaughters a couple of nights ago, the 6-year-old, I have the video, but it's a little hard to hear. But the 6-year-old, right away, when I asked her about where she might feel peaceful and calm, she said, "At your school." And then she said, "And at Veritas," which is her new school. So she immediately had the bridge over. And I said, "Well, doing what activity?" And she said, "Math." Now, those of you who are adverse to math and didn't have the hands-on Montessori math materials can't believe that. And she said it's silent when she's doing her math work, and she experiences it there. And she went on to say when she's making bracelets in her room, that she also experiences that calm and peace. And when she's reading. And then her 8-year-old sister immediately said, and she wanted to learn knitting from me about a year ago. And she immediately said, "When I'm knitting," I said, "What do you think it is about knitting?" And she said, "I've just been doing the same thing over and over again, you know." And then she also brought out that she likes to read on this big spider swing, she calls it, out in the yard, you know. And she says when she's reading outside. And further, she brought in also when she's painting. And so you just see how that center holds whenever they're kind of alone in a sense, although they both told me they could be reading out loud to someone else and they still felt that peacefulness, that calm. So just so blessed and honored to call that in, to name that for everyone here. I'm sure you've had a rich conversation about later times in our lives, but as the Marginalian brought out so gorgeously this morning, what makes you and your childhood self the same person? It is a continuing revelation, independent, lifted out from else, calm.
Thank you for sharing, granddaughters. Much appreciative of their points of view. This is a good answered by the young people here. Maybe you first, Jodha. So Jodha, Sonia, and Danny, just take less than a minute each and just say, what is your way? How do you think, what is the way to collective peace? And you can speak personally or you can speak generally. Yeah.
Danny, you go first.
Duh. I was rooting for you, man, but it's okay.
That was her answer. That actually was her answer. And it's brilliant. That's the way to inner peace.
Okay, Dr. Tom, just explain that. How is
No.
her aunt? No, can't be. Never mind. I can see you pulling up
What wisdom.
Okay, so collective peace, right? How can we get collective peace? So when I thought of it, I thought of now, being present in the now, because for me, this would be a great example of collective peace. I think every single time I jump onto a Zoom call with people who are very much like-minded to me and are able to bring their own unique, specific, beautiful perspectives into play and be able to voice that, for me, that is collective peace. And just for the fact that the older generations to mine have put this into play, have formulated this, just gives me that, I don't know, that oomph, you know, that fire in me to keep going and say, you know what, collective peace is possible, but we are responsible for that possibility. And like Lisa said, we've all chosen to start with self-reflection within us and to have peace within us. That is why we are here today, to be able to say, yes, this is what peace means to me. This is how I see peace. This is how I feel when I am at peace in my own personal life. So I think that is just how we are already collecting it together. It's like an energy, you know, and I've got like a bag, and you know, I'm just taking from everybody and putting it in my little bag, and it adds to my peace. It doesn't take away from my peace. And I think that is where that beautiful collective comes in, because it's a unified type of energy. It's an energy that I look so forward to just jumping into. You know, it's an energy that I can't wait to hear what you have to say. I can't wait to share with you what I have to say. So I think it's already, somebody has already lit the match. And now you, like the older generations are including people like myself, Jodha and Sonia, that are taking the match, and we are going to carry on with the fire. You know, kind of a thing. And for me, that's my collective. Jodha, it's your turn now.
So I think like living in peace with oneself starts by living in peace with oneself starts by cultivating self-awareness, self-acceptance, and self-care. It involves practicing mindfulness, managing emotions, and keeping a positive mindset. Taking time for reflection, setting healthy boundaries, and engaging in activities that bring joy and can also contribute to inner peace. To bring this inner peace to the world is essential to promote empathy, compassion, and understanding towards others. This can be achieved by actively listening, seeking common ground, and treating others with respect and kindness. Embracing diversity and resolving conflicts peacefully are also crucial in creating a happy and calm world. Ultimately, living in peace with oneself and spreading that peace to others requires a commitment to personal growth and willingness to contribute positively to the well-being of all.
Thank you. You spoke to so much there. Thank you, Jodha. Sonia. Leave us with some words of wisdom.
Collective. Oh, sorry.
Oh, I said leave us with some words of wisdom.
So for me, collective peace is all about your mindset. Everyone tends to have this belief that the older generations are more conservative and very fixed in their mindsets. But what our generation doesn't realize is that when we're exposed to things like social media, for example, all of these apps, Facebook, Google, Instagram, Twitter, they have an algorithm. TikTok is another popular one. And the more we search something, the more it appears on our feed. So people out there have a pre-existing belief or a thought or a mindset, and they use these mediums to enforce that on us. So without realizing, we're forming mindsets and we're like, but this is how we feel inside. This is our belief, when it's actually not. It's something random people over the internet convinced us is what we believe. And I feel that collective peace is creating awareness about dangers and conflicts that you're going to face, and informing people and trying to get them to not necessarily agree with you or see eye to eye, but understand where you're coming from. And once they open their mindset and actually see how much they're being influenced, I think it'll be a lot easier for everyone to be in a state of peace and to actually formulate their own opinions rather than, you know, propaganda, like, okay, not necessarily propaganda, but a lot of these things are political based, and without realizing it, we're expressing those views. And I just feel like collective peace is breaking out of that and working together. Thank you.
Wow. That topic just deserves a whole thing on its own, you know, that we can all discuss. But thank you, Sonia. Tom, you get to close us out. I've spoken far too much.
I feel like I've spoken far too much. Every syllable, brilliant. I'm inspired to listen more deeply. I'm inspired to be hungry for the emergent teacher, you know, and it's an interesting paradox that we seek the teacher within, the guide within. Thank you, Annie, for that distinction. And I think we all implicitly would agree that some level of social construct or social narrative is valuable. And so there's a guide with there's an external. To me, that's a paradox. It's a very interesting paradox. And maybe to bring it back to the Marginalian idea, maybe living inside that. The old TikTok had C's in there. So I'm talking TikTok with CC in it, right? Maybe living inside that sinusoidal is the evolution of the soul. To go all the way back to our opening idea, that people spoke to so many great ideas around that conversation about getting better, and getting the access to the peace. Access to the peace is not putting the structure, the reliable externals together, right? It's having the skill set to put the reliable together. And so therein is the relationship with chaos. Therein is the ever evolving skill set in restoring order, restoring the next level of breakthrough. Yeah. And it's interesting to hear. I think 2 hours ago, I would have said over the course of life, and I could certainly look at my life this way, and over the course of life, just going back to the way it was yesterday is the booby prize. Yeah. So we get better, we get stronger, we get more enlightened. And so we put together fundamental skill sets of how do you make your bed, you know, how do you put your pillows on in the right order? And little by little, that's not enough anymore. And then the breakthrough comes. So that the tick tock, tick tock, tick tock becomes tick, oh my God, tick, oh my God, right? And here's to a quantum leap, I would suggest. I think that's what Brian was pointing to. Here's to a quantum leap in that next subtraction. Yeah, when he was describing his art as his sculpture as an effort in subtraction. And that tick is, there's me, and that talk, or now the oh my God, can be a, oh thank God I get to let go of me. Something like that.
Thank you. Thank you for your energy, everyone. And join us tomorrow. You can go to pieceofcreation.com. Shamima, who is my sister and does all the techie stuff for us. And I've just got to say thank you, Shamima. She's put the landing page of our convergence room there. The schedule is on that page. So if you want to go to the schedule, you can see what's happening tomorrow. Some very interesting conversations. Have a beautiful rest of the day. Bye, everyone.